What is going on? You don't know?
Casey Becker and Steve Orr's.
What if the movie that revived the horror genre was almost buried before release, almost banned by ratings boards, and nearly stripped of its iconic mask? Scream didn't just scare audiences in 1996, it rewrote the rules of slasher cinema forever. Here are 20 weird facts, each explained in detail, that reveal how this film became a cultural phenomenon. 1. The opening scene was designed to trick the audience. The legendary opening with Casey Becker wasn't just shocking, it was strategic misdirection. Audiences in 1996 believed Drew Barrymore was the main character because she was the biggest star attached to the project. Killing her within the first 15 minutes shattered viewer expectations instantly. The sequence also plays with psychological terror rather than immediate gore. The long phone conversation builds dread slowly, making the violence feel more disturbing. By subverting the big star survives rule, the film announced that anything could happen. That unpredictability became the foundation of the franchise. 2. The film was originally called Scary Movie. Before it became Scream, the screenplay circulated under the title Scary Movie. The name reflected the script's satirical tone, since the film openly comments on horror clichés. However, studio executives felt the title sounded too comedic and lacked intensity. The name Scream was chosen to emphasize raw fear and emotional reaction. Ironically, years later, the parody franchise used the original title. That twist in Hollywood history is one of the strangest behind-the-scenes coincidences connected to the film. 3. The Ghostface mask wasn't custom-made. The Ghostface mask wasn't originally created for the movie. During location scouting, producers found the mask in a house filled with Halloween decorations. It was a mass-produced novelty item, not a cinematic design. The studio initially had trouble securing rights and even considered redesigning it. Fortunately, they kept the original look. The elongated mouth and hollow eyes give it a haunting, almost ghostly appearance. That accidental discovery became one of the most recognizable horror icons ever. 4. Drew Barrymore helped get the film made. At the time, horror films were struggling at the box office. Studios were hesitant to fund another slasher project. Drew Barrymore's involvement gave the production credibility and marketability. Her decision to take a smaller role was a calculated creative choice. She believed her early death would shock audiences more than playing the lead. Her instinct proved correct, as the opening remains one of the most talked-about sequences in horror history. 5. The killer's voice was performed live on set. Instead of pre-recording Ghostface's dialogue, the voice actor delivered lines live during filming. This allowed the actors to react naturally to unpredictable inflections and pacing. The spontaneous delivery heightened realism in the phone scenes. For example, Drew Barrymore's fear feels authentic because she was responding in real time. That choice created tension that couldn't be replicated with playback audio. It added an unsettling layer of unpredictability to every call.
6. Neve Campbell was accidentally really stabbed. During the final act fight scene, Neve Campbell was accidentally stabbed by the actor playing Billy. It wasn't deep, but it was real. That raw pain you see on her face, that's not acting. The accident was kept in the final cut because it made the moment feel authentic. 7. The script leaked before the movie hit theaters. Parts of the script leaked online. This caused panic among producers who feared spoilers would ruin the mystery. To combat this, multiple fake scripts were created during production. Even some cast members didn't know who the killers were until late in filming. Matthew Lillard's chaotic final scene, that manic energy wasn't entirely scripted. 8. The film almost received an NC-17 rating. The original cut was considered too violent by ratings boards. The filmmakers had to trim down blood splatter and certain stabbing sequences. Ironically, the violence is relatively restrained compared to later horror films, but at the time, it pushed boundaries. The studio fought hard to keep the R rating because an NC-17 would have destroyed box office potential. 9. Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard didn't know they were both killers at first. In early production drafts, only one killer was written. The dual killer twist was finalized later, and even the actors weren't fully aware of how the reveal would play out. This added genuine unpredictability to their performances. Matthew Lillard's chaotic final scene, that manic energy wasn't entirely scripted. 10. The party scene took 21 days to film. The final house party sequence, where most of the climactic chaos unfolds, took 21 consecutive nights to shoot. Cast and crew were exhausted, emotions were high, and the long hours added to the frantic energy of the scenes. By the time filming wrapped, many actors described it as surreal and delirious, perfect for the madness on screen.
Number 11. The film is a self-aware love letter to horror. Scream didn't just scare audiences, it taught them the rules of horror. No sex, don't drink or do drugs, never say "I'll be right back." These meta-commentaries were revolutionary. The movie acknowledged cliches while still using them. It was both satire and genuine horror, a rare combination that hadn't been done this successfully before. Number 12. Real news coverage inspired the story. The script was loosely inspired by real-life crimes involving a masked attacker who called them after targeting them. The idea of blending everyday teenage life with sudden violence made the story feel disturbingly plausible. That realism is part of what made audiences so uncomfortable. Number 13. Courteney Cox had to fight for her role. At the time, she was best known for playing a lovable character on a hit sitcom. Producers weren't sure audiences would accept her as a morally gray reporter. She had to actively campaign for the role of Gale Weathers, wanting to break away from her nice girl image. That risk paid off. Gale became one of the franchise's most enduring characters. Number 14. The budget was surprisingly modest. Despite becoming a cultural phenomenon, Scream was made on a relatively small budget. This forced creative decisions, less reliance on elaborate effects, and more emphasis on suspense and dialogue. The film's stripped-down feel actually enhanced its tension. Sometimes limitations create brilliance. Number 15. The film revived the slasher genre. Before Scream, slasher films were considered outdated. After its massive box office success, studios rushed to produce similar teen horror movies. The late 90s horror boom, filled with masked killers and glossy teen casts, was directly influenced by this film's success. It didn't just scare audiences, it resurrected an entire genre. 16. The cast watched horror movies together. To prepare, the cast had group screenings of classic horror films. This wasn't just research, it built chemistry. The playful banter about horror tropes you see on screen mirrors real discussions the cast had off-screen. That authenticity is why the movie feels so natural despite its high-concept premise. 17. The movie broke box office expectations. Studios expected modest returns. Instead, word of mouth exploded. Audiences returned to theaters multiple times to catch hidden clues about the killers. It became a sleeper hit that just kept growing. The twist ending sparked endless conversations. 18. The killers were always meant to be ordinary. Unlike supernatural villains, Ghostface isn't superhuman. The costume hides regular people, friends, classmates, lovers. That's what makes it terrifying. The killers bleed, stumble, and make mistakes. They aren't monsters, they're human. 19. The film's humor was controversial. Some critics initially didn't know how to classify it. Was it horror? Was it comedy? The balance of brutal kills and sarcastic dialogue confused early viewers, but that tonal mix became its secret weapon.
It allowed audiences to laugh, then immediately scream. 20. The final scene was designed to feel cathartic. After relentless tension, the ending shifts tone. Sidney doesn't just survive, she fights back. The final act transforms her from victim to warrior. That empowerment resonated deeply with audiences and redefined the final girl trope. Instead of running, she confronts her attackers head-on. And that final scream? It wasn't fear, it was defiance. Scream wasn't just another slasher movie. It was a genre-defining moment that blended satire, suspense, and shocking brutality into something entirely new. It tricked us, it mocked us, and it terrified us. More than 2 decades later, the Ghostface mask still haunts Halloween aisles, and horror fans still debate the brilliance of that original twist. Now tell me, when the phone rings late at night, do you answer it?